SiriusXM Politics brings you the best in progressive talk radio on SiriusXM Progress. Start your day with Mornings with Zerlina.
With me, Zerlina Maxwell.
Get your marching orders from Michelangelo Signorilli.
I do think we've made progress.
Dive deep into the issues with Dean Obeidallah. This is where we stand. And challenge your thinking on Tell Me Everything with John Fugelsang.
I'm really proud of my country.
Plus, Stephanie Miller and Tom Hartman. To hear SiriusXM Progress, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/go.
Did you know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SiriusXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
I love music, and I just want to celebrate all of it with you.
It's my favorite now.
Is it worth it? Let me work it.
It is perfect.
This is my heartbeat. It's the Kelly Clarkson Connection, y'all.
I freaking love your channel.
Oh my God.
Channel 12 and on the SiriusXM app.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. You gotta get this. You gotta get this.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. 018-14868.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! Fool, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, I've told you many times I was nominated neighborhood spokesperson, and some people don't like it because they thought they would nominate me to stay quiet. And I like to bring people together when it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What a great day in Denver Hills, California on a beautiful Thursday, August 5th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord don't split you too wide, because there's a lot of people riding around with wide splits because too much fast food is being consumed. I'm not saying I'm not part of the problem. I've been part of the problem myself too. I want to say what a great day today with Big C Sports Podcast. Had some great news happen today at the Senate building in California. I'm going to talk about that. Senator Bradford doing his thing again. Also got a great basketball player, a woman, Brittany Shine. Met her many, many moons ago. And she's also doing some great things in the world of teaching and mentoring the youth. And that's what I love, having her on the show today. But you know, I always do my thing with Big C Sports Podcast. I'm so happy about things that happened today down at the state, around the state capitol of California, the Senate's office. I want to say I'm the only sports show in the universe that champions reparations for descendants of child slavery. Now, more people are going to start doing it based on the seminal moment that happened today. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But you can always count on me. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We should all use more laughter. In our lives, I know I can use more laughter. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling, and then I do the play-by-play. Brittany Shine 4-3. Yes! Get the hole in your life. Have you ever seen such a great shot? They think Steph Curry can shoot the three. Wait until you get a hold of Brittany Shine. I want to say she's shining all over the universe. And then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast applications out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV applications: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and I really do appreciate that. And then the show, I'm telling you, I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days at Salem Media, and now we have people who miss practice. I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking about practice. The great Allen Iverson talked about people who miss practice. I don't miss practice, but I am so happy about what happened today, because at the state capitol and the Senate, some similar moments happened for descendants of child of slavery. But I also want to do on the Big C Sports podcast, I want to make sure I pay homage to our military veterans. If you serve this country from sea to shining sea, and you're going through issues, there's a Veterans Crisis Hotline, because they will help you. They are experienced in helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, it's one thing to say thank you for your service. I like saying thank you for your service. But I want to tell them there's a hotline you can reach out to. It's like calling 911. It's 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's so good when somebody's leaning back. If they're not leaning back, there's no need in you leaning, if that makes sense to you. I want to say I love the Veterans Crisis Hotline. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. A lot of people don't know that part exists in the Bible, but light, when you shine the light on subjects, you got to shine the light on bright so you can always see, you can see further, if that makes sense to you. I'm telling you what I do with the Big C's team. I have a commercial because I'm really big on a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. And today, I had another epiphany. I was at the state Senate's office today in Denver Hills, California, and I was going to give a package to California Senator Stephen Bradford, who's in charge of reparations. And I gave him a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. And not only did I see coming out of an elevator was a staff member for Senator Bradford. Now, I'm not going to say her name because I didn't get permission to. But that's like God opened the door, and here she comes walking out, and I was walking in. And I said, good to see you again. She said, good to see you too. I said, I just left a pamphlet for Senator Bradford, and she said, I'll make sure he gets it. That's timing, because God orchestrates the timing. And I'm doing something that's like my Buddhist friend told me not too long ago. Nam yo renke yo, nam yo renke yo, nam yo renke yo. I'm using everything, because this chant, the Buddhist chant, is one of the most significant attributes of Nichiren Buddhism. It is easily accessible. The practice of chanting Nam Yo Renke Yo, Nam Yo Renke Yo, Nam Yo Renke Yo. It's a great chant. The profound yet simple method of Buddhist practice is the perfect Buddhist teaching in the modern world. I've been using that more and more with Big C Sports Podcast, and may I say, may lightning strike! It's starting to work more and more. And I love that. I'm going to get into my commercial real quick, and then I'm going to come back and talk about what happened today at the Senate, and then I'm going to bring on Brittany Shine. So pay attention, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. That's what I'm saying. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to say we have a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth, resource development consulting, in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and attorney George Jones. The Missing Link, long-term care, solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience, helping seniors get their benefits. Medicare and You is taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In other states, it's called Medicaid. You got to understand, it's beautiful when you have it. Your family and spouse can avoid the spin down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And tell them Big C sent you. Now, I gave this pamphlet to Senator Bradford's office. Our promise to you, I want him to get this out to all the legislators, especially as people turn 65 and they may likely need long-term care at some point in time. Our promise to you is to navigate and specialize and maximize long-term care benefits. That's what we do. We specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits. Protection of your assets without a spin down. There's no spin down in California anymore. Now, all paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists. We have ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. You know, I've been telling many people I'm a Trekkie. I believe in Star Trek, and I believe in Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and the Starfleet Federation. Long, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the USS Starship Enterprise was on a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life in new civilizations, and to boldly go where no man or woman had gone before. May Latin strike! Warp speed straight ahead. And so as Captain Kirk, Scotty, and Spock, they came out of hyperspace into this beautiful planetary system called the Ooh Yeah Galaxy. I think Jodeci, he's been there before. Ooh yeah! And so when they pulled out of hyperspace, Captain Kirk said, ooh yeah! But at the end of that ooh yeah, they saw a big shiny black planet. And Scotty said, well, that's a peculiar planet. It's beeping. And Scott said, yeah, Captain, have you ever seen a planet like that? Captain Kirk said, no. What about you, Spock? It is kind of a logical that is beeping, but I would love to do the Vulcan mind meld. And just as they said that, Spock said, Captain, maybe we should raise the shields. And Captain said, I think you're right, Scotty. Are you on your Vulcan mind? Raise the shields. And Captain Kirk said, before you raise the shields, it looks like we're trying to get helmed by some black shiny planet. It was Darth Vader of the USS Starship Death Star. He said, do not raise your shields. You have an order from Starfleet Command. This is Captain Darth Vader on the USS Starship Death Star. Do not raise your shields. It would be considered an act of war. And you know, a lot of attorneys go around saying don't raise your shields, don't have a trust. And Captain Kirk says, Scotty, Spock, are you out there, Vulcan mind? Raise the shields. And at that time, Darth Vader said, I have a proposition you can't refuse. I will give you Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Lando Calrissian, Han Solo, and 2 robots called C-3PO and R2-D2. Do not raise your shields. It would be considered an act of war. And Captain Kirk said, raise the shields. Audio Vulcan mind. Warp speed to the head. Well, just as they got into warp speed, Darth Vader was about to fire on the USS Starship Enterprise. But because he trusted his instincts, they lived to see another day. That's what I love about having your instincts, and we do that with the RDC team. You got to protect your assets, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. If you don't have a will and a trust, probate will have one for you, and you will not like it. They take between 10 to 40% of your assets. We have a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. But not only that, I'm not done yet. Why should you have a trust? Before the protection, insurance coverage required by a law, general liability, workers' compensation. We have lawyers specializing in living trust. Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care. You can avoid probate. We have life insurance policies, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning and avoid the look-back period. It protects your fixed assets, your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, money market account, certificate of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities, also your variable assets, your real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, and other investments. You get that with the RDC team. You can avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000, and in 1 year that house appreciates to $1 million. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gains. You avoid that with a trust. Over 3 decades of experience, attention business owners, over 3 decades of experience, you get to find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. But not only that, you get that with the RDC team. We also give you our endorsements. Now, a lot of financial planners, they don't give you endorsements because they don't have any. But we do. We have the endorsement of the late James Gomez, who advised 4 California governors and led change in California's nursing homes. He also served on Golden One's board of directors. He was the California Association of Health Facilities, the CEO and president. That's amazing. He endorsed the RDC team. Not only that, we have the late Robert Carlson, the top legal mind for CalPERS. He endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have, you got to pay attention, Attorney George Jones, Esquire, the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. He endorsed the RDC team. We have Mr. Leon Woods, a resource development consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. He endorses the RDC team. We have Miss Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorses the RDC team. We have Mr. Ray De La Cruz. He's the president and CEO of Resource Development Consultant. Not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veteran Benefits. He endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, also business development consultant with the RDC team. And not only that, owner of Big C Sports Corporation, the #1 sports show in the universe. I endorse the RDC team. But not only that, we have Double O on the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. Not only that, she's a consultant with the RDC team. But not only that, she has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. She endorses the RDC team. You can Google it on Access Sacramento. You got to give that some praise. I said give it praise, 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 because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I don't want to waste my mind up in here. I don't want to waste my mind, the late, great DMX. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to talk about some things that happened today at the Senate with Senate Bill passing, Senate Bill 1331, Senate Bill 1403, and Senate Bill 1050 would establish the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice for the purpose of funding policies that indemnify African American descendants of chattel slave persons or descendants of a free black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. And Senate Bill 1331, it would allow the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice to receive monies from federal, state, or local grants, or from any private donation or grant. That's important, and that's part of what happened down at the state Senate today in beautiful downtown Sacramento, California, and it's put together by none other than Senator Bradford. Really do appreciate him. So as we give that some praise, I'm going to come back with a special guest. Her name is Brittany Shine. She's a professional basketball player. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. I was just saying on Big C Sports Podcast, more than just a sports show at the state capitol today down at the senator's office, reparations funds passing for Senate Bill 1331, 1403, and 1050. That's a huge, momentous occasion for the descendants of child slavery. I gotta take a little pause right now. I want to bring in Brittany Shine. She's a basketball player, professional basketball player. She was actually on my very first sports show back in 2018, and she did a great job, but she also is a well-schooled basketball player, and she's also a coach. Brittany, thanks for joining the Big C Sports Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Charlton. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It's great talking to you again. It's been a minute. So I know basketball, we just saw the Olympics. The women USA, Team USA, they won, I believe, 61 games in a row. They beat France. Viva France. Is it Viva la France or Viva France? Parlez-vous français? So, and then the men's team also beat France, Parlez-vous français. And so we had 2 American teams winning. You're a basketball player. Tell me about how you got started playing basketball, and now you're at a higher level. Your thoughts?
Oh man, it's been an amazing journey. I started playing basketball when I was 4 years old. My mom put the ball in my hands, and she coached me from when I was 4 years old all the way up to my sophomore year of high school. So went to Granite High School for 1 year.
Okay, the Pacers. Okay.
Yes, sir. I also I graduated from Sacramento High School.
The Dragons?
There. Yes, sir, the Dragons. I left there and went to the University of Florida and played there for 2 years. And then I transferred to the University of California, Berkeley. And I played there for 2 years at Cal. So
okay, Cal. Go right ahead, please. Go right ahead, please.
After that, I got an agent and I started my professional career. And I started playing in. I actually signed my first contract and played with a team from Iraq.
Oh,
in
really?
The Arab Nations Cup. Yeah, in Egypt.
Okay.
So I've been. So 11 different countries playing basketball, so it's been an amazing journey. And I actually recently just got back from playing in Mexico, where I won a championship.
Okay. Now, what's the name of the team in Mexico where you won a championship?
I played for a team called Mileras. We're from Guanajuato, Mexico.
Okay, my goodness. You've been all over the world. The great Brittany Shine from Grant High School in Northern California, Sacramento High School, Northern California, and then you went to Florida, played for the Gators in the SEC, then came back to Cal Berkeley and played in the Pac-12 at that time, I believe. And then from there, it's been all professional. If you can, talk to young people, because I'm going to ask you about your coaching coming up in a bit, but talk to the young girls that are out there playing, whether it's Grant or Sacramento High or any high school in the country. It's more than just playing the game and being a good athlete. What helps you go from just being a good high school player to going to the next level in the SEC? Your thoughts?
Honestly, it just starts with your grind, your work ethic, and your faith. My parents were really big on my grandparents and still, having faith in God and just believing in myself. That was big. So, what you believe you can achieve, but you have to put in the work. So, you can't just be thinking it's okay to just show up to practice and not be enough. You have to put in the extra effort, the extra time, and, do more.
Yes.
And I feel like that's what's going to separate you. But, it starts with the mindset.
Yes, a lot of the mindset. Got to have a strong mindset. Yeah. So, Brittany, when we talk about basketball, we just saw, Caitlin Clark's come onto the scene in WNBA out of Iowa. And, of course, Angel Reese, two marquee players, get a lot of media time. But can you tell me, when you say to young kids that think that they're going to play pro ball, and maybe they put more emphasis on dribbling than they do the classroom, can you tell me at what point in time, I know you talked about your grandparents and your mom, when did you realize that you are good enough to go to the next level? Was it freshman? Was it sophomore, junior, or senior? Your thoughts?
Honestly, to be real with you, it was younger than that. I think
how young?
As I went to school, I would say I had goals where I wanted to be a professional basketball player, and I knew I could just do, the minimum. I had to do more. So there were nights where, my high school coach would tell you, we used to get up every morning at like 5 a.m. and go just work out.
Okay.
Go home, shower, come back to school, work out before practice. It's just, it takes an extra effort, but you can't do any of that if you're not a student first. So Just as important as, you want to be an athlete, you have to be a student athlete. That's
very well said. Talking to the great Brittany Shine, basketball player, also coach. Now, this may cause a little bit of problem when you get back home, and it may or may not. Grant High School, they're known as a football powerhouse in Northern California. Sacramento High School known more as a basketball powerhouse in Northern California. Which school do you feel gave you the toughest competition going against each other in practice? Your thoughts?
I love...
Tell the truth now, Brittany. Tell the truth.
I play with some great players. But I will say this. My senior year, we had... I think 3 different players go D1.
Oh, really?
So we had some athletes. Yeah, we had Kara Dunn. She went to Pittsburgh. I went to Florida. And Katrina Selena, she went to Bowling Green. So we had some athletes.
Okay, and that's obviously at one school. That's a lot coming out of Northern California. A lot of good programs here in Northern California. Talking to the great Brittany Shine. You would think with so many great athletes in Sacramento, the WNBA, the Sacramento Monarchs, the great Ruthie Bolton Holliford, they're the only team in Sacramento to ever win a world championship outside of the Sacramento Surge of the USFL. It's amazing that Sacramento does not have women's pro basketball, and they're the only ones to win a championship. Your thoughts?
Right. We need to bring the Monarchs back for sure. I'm excited about the Bay Area team, but Sacramento needs a team as well.
Yeah, Sacramento needs a team. The only area that actually won a championship in Northern California, talking to the great Brittany Shine. And now, Brittany, again, the Pac-12 no longer exists, which is a shame. We have teams like Washington and Oregon, USC, UCLA, and they are now part of the Big Ten in Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. They're now the Big 12. That must sting a little bit more, knowing that you played in the Pac-12 conference, Cal Bear's prestigious academic school, and they bolted for the Big Ten for more money. How does that make you feel? Your thoughts?
I'm just going to miss the Battle of the Bay. I feel like the whole city used to get up for that. We played against Stanford.
Yes.
It was like forbidden to wear red that week. So I'm going to definitely miss the Battle of the Bay. But it's interesting to see how the conferences are mixing.
It's a shame that the Pac-12 is the conference of champions, have more championships than any of them. You played at Haas Pavilion, Pollard Pavilion, Maples Pavilion, and now Stanford is in the ACC along with Cal being in the ACC. You talked about your mother and grandparents, of course. Could you imagine if you play at Cal and you play a conference game and you have to travel to Florida State or you have to travel to Clemson? That makes no sense for a parent. How does that feel? Do you feel that maybe they left the students out of it and just went for the money? Your thoughts?
I feel like it's just going to be interesting to see how they're going to respond in the classroom with that, because it used to be really hard to get your assignments and take tests on the road when you're playing, just at the LA schools. And now having to travel halfway across the country to play one game and then get back home for a test and have to go to class the next day, it's going to be challenging. So it's going to be interesting to see.
It's going to be interesting to see. Talking to the great Brittany Shine, also has talked about how to go from the high school level, even though, did you say you were dunking the ball at 4 or you started playing basketball at 4? Which one did you say, Brittany?
I started playing at 4.
Okay, they have those low rims they give kids so they can dunk when they're 4 years old. All fair and love and war. So I want to ask.
I'm sure I was dunking that too.
Okay, I'm sure they can do that too. So Brittany, I talked to you about Grant High School, Sacramento High School, Cal Berkeley, and then Florida. But you went to Florida first. Can you talk about? Maybe it's a media bias, but when people talk about basketball, they say the SEC has more energy, they have bigger crowds, there's more money behind it. But I think maybe that's because there's a lot of SEC schools that are in small cities, small towns, where you don't have a lot going on outside of sports. If you're in the Bay Area, you have the 49ers, you have Golden State, the Giants, the A's. In LA, you have USC, UCLA, but you also have the Lakers, you have the Clippers, you have NFL football with the Rams and Chargers. Is it true that you would say the SEC has more fanfare, more intensity than out here on the West Coast? Your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely, I would agree with that. Playing in the SEC was an amazing experience. I'm talking about charter flights to every game.
Really?
And the crowds were insane. I remember my first time playing at Tennessee.
Okay.
That was a crazy experience. They're coming out. You hear food. We have fireworks when we do the starting lineup.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, obviously that conference has a lot of money behind it, a lot of TV revenue behind it. So it's on TV a lot. So they get to build up the image. And a lot of times when the Pac-12 schools are playing so late at night, people are not really sitting in front of the TV at 7 o'clock at kickoff or tip-off. Talking to the great Brittany Shine. I want to ask your thoughts, Brittany, when it comes, you talked about being at Cal and also at Florida. Then you started your career, did you say you started in Iraq? Is that what you said, your thoughts?
I did. I played for a team from Iraq in the Arab Nations Cup in Egypt. Yeah.
What was that like culturally to go from being in the United States, whether it's at Stanford, whether it's at Cal or Florida, and then into a different country where basketball is not as intense there as it is here? Or would I be mistaken about that?
It's just it's definitely a different view on basketball for women in the Middle East in general.
Yeah.
But I would say in America, it's definitely more of a popular sport.
More of a popular sport. That's obviously, and I'm so glad to see that women are getting more and more interest from television contracts. I know the revenue that women make is nowhere near what men make. Oftentimes, people think about a contract, whether Steph Curry or Jaylen Brown signs a $340 million contract. LeBron James, people of that stature, that's a lot of money. It may stretch over 5 to 10 years, but it's a lot. When you look at women basketball players, even Angel Reese that may make less than $500,000 a year, or Caitlin Clark, same thing. There are women who still have to go find work after their playing days are over. So you went to Iraq, and then you finished, well, you're still playing, but you just won a championship in Mexico. Talk about that experience, what it was like to know that when the playing days are over, that you still may have to go find work? Your thoughts?
I think that the women definitely deserve more money. The women definitely deserve more. It's the same sport. I mean, the only thing that's different is we're not dunking the ball every possession, though. We are dunking the basketball. So.
Yeah. Well, they should lower the rim, and you can have more dunks the way they do it for, you know what I'm saying? Make it more fair. There's not a lot of women that are 6'10", right?
I don't think we should lower the rim. The game's a game, but I just think that women need to get paid more.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see, like you said, the interest in the sport.
Yeah.
Because in Mexico, they love basketball. So, in the playoffs when we're playing, the crowd is like sold out.
Really?
It's amazing. I love it. I love it.
Wow. Talking to the great Brittany
Shout out
Stein. Well, let me ask
Shout out to the city of Guanajuato for the experience. Like, I loved it there.
That's wonderful, Brittany. Coming down the back nine of our program today. Now, people hear Brittany Stein dunking at 4 years old. She didn't say if it was a professional rim, so I won't tell your secrets. You know how women have their own secrets. Just say it was a regular size rim. Can you give me your thoughts on what it's going to take to get the money that men have been getting? Is it just TV revenue? Is it the agencies that have to represent you? What will it take in your mind for women to get those large contracts? You play the game. Women play the game just like men. Why is there such a gap in the money?
Honestly, I wish I could answer that question, but I think that we're on our way in the right direction. I think we're starting to get the notoriety and the respect and the publicity that we deserve, and I love seeing it. It's come from seeing, crowds in the WNBA barely have, people watching in attendance to seeing sold-out crowds every night you turn the TV on. It's great to see. Yes,
very much so. Talking to the great Brittany Stein. Brittany, now this is a chance for you to embellish. Nobody's going to, I can't confirm or deny whatever it happened to be. If you can tell me, when it comes to your position, how many points per game you were able to drop, go brag on yourself. We know Steph Curry's the great three-point shooting king. Every time he makes a three, he increases the record. Talk about your game, your position, your points per game, your thoughts.
I'm a guard from Sacramento, California. I specialize in the mid-range pull-up. I can get to the rim. I can be a point guard, a shooting guard, whatever you need me to be. And I think my highest career average is, 39 points I scored in Cyprus. So it's been a blessing. Did
you say 39 points?
Yeah, 39.
Okay, somebody needs to get you a bigger contract. So let's say I'm your sports agent, and I say, Brittany, we know you dropped 39 points in the game. We want to give you a $300 million contract over 10 years. Would you take it? Or would you ask how much is the guaranteed money? Your thoughts?
I'm taking it. I know it'll be guaranteed.
You're not gonna ask if it's guaranteed. You're just gonna take it. Right? That's a smart answer. Just take it.
We'll negotiate. We'll negotiate for sure down the road.
Okay. Talking to the great Brittany Stein. You listen up, sports agents. She'll take the $300 million guaranteed. That's what she wants. I want to close out and ask you now, Brittany. Talking to the great Brittany Stein. You're also a coach now. And you're also able to help the college kids and maybe the youth also get their skills developed the same way you did when you were growing up. Where are you coaching? Who are some of the players that you think have the skill to get to the next level without hurting anybody's feelings? Your thoughts?
I coach at Casinos River College. It's a junior college in Elk Grove, California. So that's in my third year going there. We had a great year last year, so I'm looking forward to seeing some success this year with my girls. I'm an assistant there. The head coach is Sam Kirby. He's a great coach. He's actually my older cousin.
Okay.
And we have some talent, so I would encourage whoever's listening to come out and check us out this season.
That would be awesome. Talking to the great Brittany Stein. Now I'm going to tell you, you're still grinding, playing your sport that you love, also teaching. What do you do to just relax? If you're not coaching, you're playing. What does Brittany do when you want to relax and rise and shine? Your thoughts?
Honestly, the relaxing to me is going to watch a basketball game. I like to watch basketball.
Okay.
And I like to shop.
Will you go to watch? Are you coaching or are you just sitting back and enjoying it? Your thoughts?
Sitting back and enjoying it.
Okay, well, that's good to talk about to the great Brittany Stein. As we close out, Brittany, I know oftentimes nowadays everybody has a website. They have a YouTube. They have an Instagram, so people can go follow what they're doing, what they're posting, talking to the great Brittany Shine. Where can people find the great Brittany Shine and what you're doing when it comes to your social media, your thoughts?
Yes, my Instagram. I'm on Instagram at bshine23.
Say that one more time, please.
bshine23.
So bshine23, if you're a sports agent looking to give somebody $300 million, she says she'll take it guaranteed, and that's the great Brittany Shine. I want to thank you, Brittany, for following Big C Sports Podcast. But before I let you go, you know I love collard greens. I think my mama made the best collard greens I ever had in my life. Is there any kind of food that when your mama's cooking that you said, Mama, will you please make me that plate when I come back from Iraq or Florida or Mexico or California? Your thoughts?
To be honest, I was wanting to go to Grandma's house. Grandma was always the one who was throwing down. Fried chicken, I had to have it every time I came back.
You don't even need a plate when great grandma's cooking that food and grandma's doing that food. Talking to the great Brittany Shine. I do want to appreciate you for coming on to the Big C Sports Podcast. I hope I catch you down the road. I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope that your mom doesn't get mad that you say her mama's a better cook than she is.
She knows it's all love.
It's all love. It's all love. Talking to the great Brittany Shine. This is Big C Sports Podcast. I'm going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout, and I'll be back in just a moment. Brittany, I thank you, and I appreciate you, and I hope you have a super fantastic day.
Thank you for having me, Charles.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You as well.
All right, I'm back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe, and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Talking to the great Brittany Shine that came on to the Big C Sports Podcast. Very bright young lady, wishing her nothing but the best, as she's also coaching and playing basketball. I want to get back into the world of Big C Sports Podcast. You know I say a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I got to bring this to you because today was a seminal moment in California. What did John F. Kennedy say? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I want to thank California Senator Stephen Bradford. And there's some bills that got passed today for reparations, and people got to know about it from sea to shining sea. What happens in California normally sweeps the country. Senate Bill 1331, which creates a state fund to support current and future reparations funding, as you oftentimes hear about on Big C Sports Podcast. And then Senate Bill 1403, also to establish the legacy and the lineage of where people came from. And then Senate Bill 1050 wasn't on the docket today, but it is for land to be given back, or at least the financial equivalent of the land that was taken through eminent domain. That's what I appreciate about Big C Sports Podcast. I want to also tell you that I think I'm the only sports show in the universe that champions reparations. A lot of people don't even know what it means anymore. But if you could Google the JUST Act, the JUST Act, you can see how descendants of Holocaust got reparations from the German government and the United States Department of Justice. And now we're next in California for descendants of chattel slavery. We had people that were there today from Carolina that flew in to be a part of the event, and Big C Sports was there to champion the cause for reparations, representing the National Black Wall Street Project. Double O was there, also championing reparations for her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google that on Access Sacramento. She was there championing reparations. Really do appreciate so many things that happened. Tony Harvey from the Black Press Media, he was there. Kim Mims from Men Mass Media, she was there. Darlene Krumdev was also there. Also had some wonderful people that were there as well. Lynette Jackson, who has her own hope and goals when it comes to working with reparations, and Diffusion Consulting Group. Really do appreciate that with her effort of being there and championing things. I saw people get choked up. I even got a little choked up. And sometimes I'm choked up now thinking about it. Because from 1619 to 1865, black Americans were beaten, raped, lynched, sold off from sea to shining sea with impunity. We did not get the Homestead Act of 1862 that gave white Americans 300 million acres of land just because they were white. Even white Europeans. We hear about 40 acres and a mule for descendants of child slavery. But white Americans got 160 acres. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. That's what part of the tremendous wealth gap. I talked to Brittany Shine about the wealth gap in NBA and WNBA basketball. It's a wealth gap. It's there. And to see things happen today with the task force, Senate Bill 1331 established the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice for the purpose of funding policies that indemnify African Americans, descendants and chattel enslaved persons, or descendants from a free black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. We lost Sheila Jackson Lee, who championed H.R. 40 just about a month ago. And she couldn't see what happened today in California. You know, I'm so proud that I, as part of Big C Sports, have been a part of this. I'm not one to just champion touchdown, home run, three-point play. Oh, man, Willie, he's going all the way. I'm seeing more and more beautiful, intelligent black men, and white men too, that are championing diversity, equity, and inclusion and reparations. Jaylen Brown for the NBA champion Boston Celtics. He's the MVP of the NBA Finals and the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. I talked to his father, and he supports reparations. We just had something happen in the Bay Area with Jason Kidd, the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. They're trying to create resources for communities in Oakland to build people up. We just had the United States Department of Agriculture. They granted an award to black farmers for all the discrimination that happened over the years. And now we have people trying to repair the damage. The task force recommended that the legislator and the governor adopt the recommendations of the task force to implement policies and effectuate the purpose of AB 3121 and begin the long overdue process of providing true reparations to African Americans in California. Don't just stand up for the kickoff. Don't just stand up for the tip-off. We are much more than that. And when we have intelligent people, dynamic people, erudite people that are standing up for a good cause, like California Senator Bradford, I want to make sure that I pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force, because I say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm not just going to sit up here and spew sports, because that, to me, is great, but there's a lot more things that are greater than sports. Sports can bring us together, and reparations will stimulate this economy. I got to tell you, I love paying homage to the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, the Secretary of the State of California, as well as California Governor Gavin Newsom. They put together a California Reparations Task Force, and I want to give them praise. I want to give praise to the chair, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to the Dr. Amos C. Brown, the vice chair. I want to give him praise. He's also appeared on the Big C Sports podcast, and he talked about his support for reparations. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I really do love giving him praise. In fact, I took a pamphlet to his office today. It's a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. The missing link. We use the government's handbooks. I want Senator Bradford's help in making sure that all Californians, and even people from sea to shining sea, they understand what the missing link is, and to get the entitlements that were signed into law by Lyndon Baines Johnson with Dr. Martin Luther King. I want to make sure I get that. Senator Bradford's like Moses in the Bible in Exodus 10, when Moses was talking to God, and God said to Moses, he said, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses said, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And he went down and did his thing. Senator Bradford was the same when he was on his knees praying to God about what do I do about getting reparations passed. And God said, go down to the Senate and the state capitol and the legislators and tell them I said pass reparations. And Senator Bradford said to God, well, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And now those bills are passing. They're passing, people. Even though there are many people who have their head in the sand, they don't even know what reparations means. Google the JUST Act, the JUSTACT. I'm so proud of California Senator Stephen Bradford, and he also helped create name, image, and likeness that helps student athletes get paid on their name, image, and likeness. He did that. He also championed the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children. He did that. I love giving him praise. I met him many times at task force and also in his office. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to our attorney, Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. She also specializes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I love giving her praise. She's anti-Project 2025 that wants to do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, also a professor at California Berkeley. I love giving him praise. And I want to give praise to our attorney, Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And you can too. Give him praise, praise, praise. Tell it from the mountaintop. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. It's happening, people. It's happening from sea to shining sea. And I'm so proud to be part of Big C Sports Podcast. I talk about it all the time. But it's not just me. And people say, oh, Big C, there you go talking about reparations again. Can you just tell us who won the game? I want to tell you who won the game. Listen to the best speaker in the history of this country when it comes to reparations.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them he murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I love talking about that as much as I love talking about a team winning a game and who's going to win the game. I believe that a just country was going to do the right thing. We got so bamboozled about football, basketball, and baseball. We just saw the Olympics in beautiful Paris, France, Parlez-vous Français, and now people go back to life. And I believe in making things greater. You know, I do a skit about Star Trek on a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, and to boldly go where no man or woman has gone before. It's a lot like reparations in the United States for the descendants of child slavery. I'm so grateful. And with Big C Sports Podcast, I want to ask the NBA. I want to ask the NFL, which is kicking off this month, and regular season starts in September. I want to ask Major League Baseball. I want to ask these great sports leagues to champion what California Senator Stephen Bradford's doing. It's all of us. It's all of us in this country trying to do the right thing. We got to do the right thing. We got to always try to do the right thing. It's not that hard. I saw people crying today at the Senate building when they read the passage of 1331 and 1403. And 1050 is there also. But if you think about what it means, that the United States is a land of the free and the home of the brave, and we're about to do the right thing for descendants of child slavery. It's not just about Big C Sports Podcast and what I think about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This country did the best it could to make it as easy as possible. After the Civil War was fought, President Abraham Lincoln, he gave reparations, but he gave it to the white slave owners for lost compensation. The black Americans didn't get anything. They were supposed to get 40 acres of mule. Right about the same time, the Homestead Act, it gave white Americans 160 acres of land. All they had to do was live on it. Can you imagine if someone gave you 160 acres of land? I was asking Brittany Shine if she got a $300 million contract. Would she take it? She said yes. Well, the white Americans that got the 160 acres of land, they didn't give it back. They lived on it. They farmed on it. They sold it. They were able to grow industry, but they could go to the bank and get a loan. When you own 300 million acres of land collectively, that's the wealth gap in the United States, along with the free labor from 1619 to 1865, and then the 100 years of Jim Crow. We got to know that we're due to have the right thing done for the descendants out of slavery. Today is a show that I love doing because I was there when they got a yes vote. I saw people crying because there's a lot of pent-up anxiety when you understand what black codes are, when you understand Jim Crow, when you understand that there's some parties trying to do away with civil rights and the protections from civil rights from our Republican brethren, when you understand they're trying to do away with fair housing from some of our Republican brethren. That made it possible for African Americans to get housing without the redlining, even though we know it still exists. Signing a law a week after Dr. King was assassinated, fair housing by Lyndon Baines Johnson, President of the United States. It's not easy doing the right thing, but it's hard doing the wrong thing. If you steal something from somebody, give it back. If you rob somebody, give it back. If you're a thief, you know you're a thief. Give it back. This country never gave back to the descendants of child slavery. And it's time to give back. It's time to do the right thing. Don't just be hoodwinked by touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh, man, Willie, he's going all the way. Get the hole in your life. Do you believe in miracles? Of course we do. But imagine when this country lives out its full meaning, that all men and women are created equal under the law. I am Big C Sports Podcast, Big C Sports Corporation, one beautiful, intelligent black man. I couldn't have had this show 100 years ago. I probably couldn't have had it 60 years ago. But I have it now, going on 8 years now. And I'm so proud that I rub shoulders with senators and congressional people and lobbyists and other dynamic people that I've met over the years when it comes to reparations. And Reverend Tony Pierce called me today and said that the bills that had passed. I said, yes, I was there when it happened. As I mentioned, Double O was there. Chris Lodges was there, does a lot of work with C-Jack. Lynette Jackson, she was there. Diffusion Consulting Services also works with the RDC team. And Kim Mims was there, part of MIM Mass Media. Darlene Cumberdev was there also. Tony Harvey from Black Media. And then they had one TV station, I believe. I couldn't see if it was Fox or ABC, NBC or CBS. It could have been CNN. But they had one station there. I also met a lady from the LA Times. I'm going to call her and get her thoughts on reparations. They sent her up to study what was happening with the bill's passage for reparations in California. So I really do appreciate meeting her. And she was asking about what can she do. And I said, I want to have you come on the Big C Sports Podcast and give me your thoughts how the Los Angeles Times is reporting on reparations too. So that way, it's the second largest media in the United States, the Los Angeles area, the outside of New York City. So I appreciate the fact that people are covering the thoughts of reparations. But I see there are more people who go to a sports games at the Golden West Center, just about a mile away from the state capitol, than there were at the hearing. And that's a shame. There are more people who will stand up to light the beam, light the beam, light the beam, than there were at a seminal moment in California history. Are you out of your fucking mind? We got to start understanding that reparations is right here in our pocket. But not everybody's going to get it because people don't know how to follow the yellow brick road. And I want to be with Big C Sports Podcast teaching how to follow the yellow brick road. But that's my story, and I'm going to stick it with it. Reparations now, reparations forever. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports Podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you could walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of the car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone you love, or someone who loves you, or someone who's loved by somebody else. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports Podcast, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy on my great-grandmother's side. Called her Mama and Pop. Great-grandparents love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Wonderful, loving, kind people. Always giving lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. Cooking that pot of collard greens. We come in out of the house, outside playing. She said, go wash your hands before you come in the kitchen. But I'm hungry now. I want to tear up those collard greens. And sometimes we be foolish enough to put our hands in the pot while it's hot. She said, boy, you're going to burn your hands. And she was right. We burned our hands. But it was sure worth it. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful grandparents, Muddia and Hezekiah, they were seers. They could off the top look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. And they still help me to this day. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying do the right thing. And again, mama, I'm doing the right thing, mama. I'm always praising God. I'm always praising. Love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches. They also owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. They owned 40 acres of land as well in the Central Valley. I was 8 years old, about 10 o'clock at night, walking through the hallway. I felt someone touch me in my forehead. She said, what are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies? I said, well, what are you doing, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, what are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies? I said, cookies and baby crap, what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations. But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long time. Love my grandmother with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night, always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying go forward. A voracious reader. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. He would always say go forward, don't look back because you don't have much backside. I said, I love my backside, Todd. But he said my backside wasn't big enough, so that's why I started to do squats more and more to this day, if that makes sense to you. You know, we love the movie Malcolm X, but one of our favorite movies was Pulp Fiction, with Sam Jackson, John Travolta, Bruce Willis, and Ben Raines. Before the big fight, Bruce Willis was told by Ben Raines, come here, sit your butt down. He said, take this money. Now your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that, blip! He said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. He told him, that stinging sensation you're feeling, well, that's just pride. Flubbing with you. And he said what a lot of athletes say to each other, flub pride. He said pride only hurts, it never helps. Someday you're going to thank Uncle Marsalis when you're chilling in the Caribbean. But we know that Bruce didn't take the dive and he lost his LA privileges. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Daisy helped me set up the very first interview for a Big C Sports podcast back at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They would normally go to ESPN, because of 2 black men in the crew, they started doing their thing on Big C Sports podcast. And I love telling you, Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, every night a good man. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Malcolm saved trees. I used to always get the newspaper and look up stats for Big C Sports podcast. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. And then one day, Malcolm said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the TV, remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now it's streaming on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You're a great man. Always know that. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn with their church buddies, always saying you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe, saying let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. As we nominated Big C Sports Podcast, I have no scripts, I have no 3-way teleprompters, I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God. So I chant, Nam Yoho Renke Yo, Nam Yoho Renke Yo, Nam Yoho Renke Yo. And things are lighting up. Things are lighting up. I love praising God. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As you know, I always champion Muhammad Ali. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beaten. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to chant with reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. There was no fighter greater than Muhammad Ali. This is the time that I pay homage to America's 16th president and the inimitable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What would they say? If they can say it today, they say reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. Come on, say it like you mean it. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. What is Senator Bradford singing today? As they said in the state legislature today, they say reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.